It should come as no surprise to hear that military weapons tend to get relatively expensive as they get more advanced. Civilians can gain insights into military operations by learning about the weapons and programs in government budget plans. Many governments around the world spend fortunes to upgrade their military defense and offense systems. Year after year, the U.S. spends significantly more of its budget on military operations than any other country. In 2019 alone, the U.S. spent almost 3 times as much as China, the country that spends the second most of its budget on its military, and after China, 10 times more than any other country. Today, we're taking a look at the most expensive war weapons ever built. Number 10, B21 Long-Range Strike Bomber. The Northrop Grumman B21 Raider is an American heavy bomber under development for the United States Air Force by Northrop Grumman. It's called the B-21 Raider in honor of World War II's Doolittle Raiders, the Air Force long-range strike bomber. As part of that program, it's to be an advanced, very long-range, large, heavy payload stealth intercontinental strategic bomber for the USAF, able to deliver conventional and thermonuclear weapons. As of 2021, the bomber is expected to enter service by 2026 or 27. It is to complement the existing Rockwell B-1 Lancer, Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, and Boeing B-52 Stratofortress bomber fleets in U.S. service and eventually replace these bombers. Number 9, CVN-78 Ford-class aircraft carrier. USS Gerald R. Ford, or CVN-78, is the lead ship of United States Navy aircraft carriers. The ship is named after the 38th President of the United States, Gerald Ford, whose World War II naval service included combat duty aboard the light aircraft carrier Monterey in the Pacific Theater. Its construction began on 11 August 2005, when Northrop Grumman held a ceremonial steel cut for a 15-ton plate that forms part of a sideshell unit of the carrier. It was originally scheduled for delivery in 2015. The Gerald R. Ford was delivered to the Navy on 31 May 2017 and formally commissioned by President Trump on 22 July 2017. The CVN-78 is expected to leave on her first deployment around 2022. Number 8, Boeing KC-46 Pegasus. The Boeing KC-46 Pegasus is an American military aerial refueling and strategic military transport aircraft developed by Boeing from its 767 jet airliner. In February 2011, the tanker was selected by the United States Air Force as the winner in the KC-X tanker competition to replace older Boeing KC-135 Stratotankers. The first aircraft was delivered to the Air Force in January 2019. The Air Force intends to procure 179 Pegasus aircraft by 2027. The effort to replace older tanker aircraft with K-46 has not been efficient. The program has had its share of technical problems, leading to long delays. Previous Defense Secretary Jim Mattis noted he was not pleased, saying he was unwilling to accept any flawed aircraft. Number 7, DDG-51 Arleigh Burke destroyers. The Arleigh Burke class of guided missile destroyers is a United States Navy class of destroyer built around the Aegis combat system and the Spy-1D multifunction passive electronically scanned array radar. The class is named for Admiral Arleigh Burke, an American destroyer officer in World War II and later Chief of Naval Operations. The lead ship, USS Arleigh Burke, was commissioned during Admiral Burke's lifetime. These Greyhounds of the Sea are warships that have both offensive and defensive capabilities in a variety of missions and operate both in carrier groups and independently. The Arleigh Burke destroyers are capable of conducting warfare against aircraft, submarines, and surface-level threats. Number 6, cyberspace operations. Cyberspace operations are divided into 3 categories: DoDIN operations, defensive cyberspace operations, and offensive cyberspace operations. The United States has a military command called Cyber Command and directed by the Secretary of Defense that was formed in 2009 and plays a key role in the nation's cyberspace operations. Number 5, Columbia-class ballistic missile submarine. The Columbia-class submarine, formerly known as the Ohio Replacement Submarine and SSBN-X Future Follow-On Submarine, is an upcoming class of nuclear submarine designed to replace the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines in the U.S. Navy. The first submarine officially began construction on October 1, 2020, and is scheduled to enter service in 2031. In studies to determine how many submarines would be needed to support the U.S.'s strategic nuclear force, the U.S. Navy looked at the number of missiles required to be at sea and on station at any given time, the number of missiles each submarine should be armed with, and the likelihood that a submarine will remain undiscovered by the enemy and be capable of launching its missiles. Also taken into consideration was how the maintenance schedule of each submarine would affect that boat's availability to be deployed on mission. Cost reduction studies explored design and construction possibilities, including adding missile tubes to the design of the Virginia-class attack submarine, building Ohio-class replacement submarines using updated Ohio-class designs, and developing an entirely new Ohio replacement submarine design. Using the information from these studies, the Navy concluded that a new design would be the least expensive option that could meet all of the technical requirements. For example, both modified Virginia-class and updated Ohio-class design options would have required an expensive mid-life refueling, whereas each Columbia-class nuclear core will last as long as the submarine is in service. Number 4. Virginia-class submarine. The Virginia-class, also known as the SSN-774 class, is a class of nuclear-powered cruise missile fast attack submarines currently in service in the U.S. Navy. Designed by General Dynamics Electric Boat and Huntington Eagles Industries, the Virginia-class submarines are the United States Navy's latest undersea warfare platform, which incorporates the latest in stealth, intelligence gathering, and weapon systems technology. Virginia-class submarines are designed for a broad spectrum of open ocean and littoral missions, including anti-sub warfare and intelligence gathering operations. They're scheduled to replace older Los Angeles-class subs, many of which have already been decommissioned. Virginia-class submarines will be acquired through 2043 and are expected to remain in service until at least 2060, with some later submarines expected to remain into the 2070s. Number 3. Space-Based Overhead Persistent Infrared Systems. The Space-Based Infrared System, or SBIRS, is a United States Space Force system intended to meet the United States infrared space surveillance needs through the first 2 to 3 decades of the 21st century. The program is designed to provide key capabilities in the areas of missile warning, missile defense, and battle space characterization. Via satellites in geosynchronous Earth orbit, sensors hosted on satellites in highly elliptical orbit, and ground-based data processing and control. As of January 2018, a total of 10 satellites carrying SBIRS, or Space Tracking and Surveillance System payloads, had been launched. In 2001, the Missile Defense Agency assessed the programs needed for a national ballistic missional defense system and found that they were lacking in the relatively new arena of space. The MDA decided to absorb the SBIRS low constellation in its very early stages of development and renamed the program the Space Tracking and Surveillance System. This transition changed the direction of the program somewhat, but the overall mission remained the same: detection and tracking of ballistic missiles through all phases of flight. Number 2. Nuclear Command, Control, and Communications. The U.S. military is currently recapitalizing its nuclear Figure 1 pave-pause radar at Cape Cod, Massachusetts Arsenal. One effort in this regard is the replacement of many of the systems that make up its nuclear command, control, and communications architecture. According to the 2018 Nuclear Posture Review, the NC3 system performs 5 crucial functions: detection, warning, and attack characterization, adaptive nuclear planning, decision-making conferencing, receiving presidential orders, and enabling the management and direction of forces. NC3 relies on a number of systems that enable the National Command Authority, the chain of command running from the President through the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Staff to U.S. Strategic Command to issue orders to strategic forces. These systems must operate at all times to transmit orders from the President and communicate with bombers in the air, ballistic submarines underwater, and intercontinental ballistic missiles dispersed throughout the United States. Number 1. F-35 Joint Strike Fighters. F-35 Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter is a stealthy, supersonic, multi-role fighter developed by Lockheed Martin Aeronautics Company for the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps, and program partners from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and U.S. allies. The single-seat fighter was designated the F-35 Lightning II in July 2006. The JSF is available in 3 variants: the F-35A, a conventional takeoff and landing aircraft, F-35B, a short takeoff and vertical landing aircraft, and F-35C, a carrier variant. A 70 to 90% commonality is required for all variants. The USAF has a planned purchase program of 170 F-35A air-to-ground strike aircraft to replace F-16 fighter aircraft and A-10, complementing the F-22 aircraft. The USMC will acquire 353 F-35B jets and 67 F-35C CV aircraft to replace FA-18BC and AV-8B, while the U.S. Navy plans to procure 260 F-35 jets to replace FA-18BC and A-6, complementing the FA-18EF. Together, the UK Royal Air Force and Royal Navy intend to operate a total of 138 F-35B jets. More than 570 F-35 aircrafts were delivered by October 2020. Well, that's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and comment below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new to the channel to be notified when we upload more content.